Good morning, YouTube friends and family. Happy Throwback Thursday and happy November. Now you may notice that I'm a little bit still decked out in Halloween because I'm actually filming this on Halloween. So yeah, I had to get like the last wear I could out of my Halloween shoes, some of my Halloween earrings, etc. So if you missed my live, which was last Sunday, we talked a little bit on the live, and I got a lot of good feedback from y'all about doing a gratitude challenge or a thankfulness challenge, it's sometimes called, for the month of November. So this is your friendly reminder. If you go back to that video, under my video, there's a description box. You may have to click on the word more, and then I put a link to the actual calendar that I'm going to be using now. It is, I believe, a teacher's calendar that you had to sign up via, give them your email, but I have not been spammed, number one, and number two, you can always unsubscribe, right? So today would be November 2nd. So what should we have done so far? And guys, if you're behind, don't worry, just catch up. Start a gratitude journal, start writing down what you're thankful for. And then you want to go ahead and create your gratitude jar. So what that is any kind of jar that you have lying around, a mason jar, an old pickle jar. And as you're writing down things that you're thankful for, you're going to put those in the jar. And then either on Thanksgiving or at the end of the month or both, you're going to review what you've written down and just really be thankful and grateful to the Lord for all the blessings that he gives us. Alrighty, so that's our calendar. So what are we gonna do today? I said it was Throwback Thursday, right? I love, as you all know, I love anything 1950s, 1960s, mid-century modern. And I have a lot of gadgets, and I have a little bit of Pyrex. I'm not the Pyrex queen by any means. But I thought, I think I'm going to start a series because it is winter. We will have less gardening, less preservation projects, but I will still be doing some. We do have the holidays coming up. And I'm going to say, thank you, Miss Jane, for your good idea. I'm working on it. All right, so what are we going to do? We are going to start sort of a vintage cookbook series, and I'm going to make a dish, pardon me. Oh no, here comes the haters. I'm banging the dishes. This is Better Homes and Gardens Casserole Cookbook. And I was very curious. This was actually copyright 1961. That was a very good year. That was the year I was born. So this is 62, almost 63 years old. And I thought, I wonder how this differs from what we cook today. So on the back, don't you just love like all the pretty pictures and the cool dishes? So this says, here are hearty casseroles, skillet meals, fluffy soufflés, delicious soups and stews, wholemeal sandwiches, and chafing dish classics, plus special select sections on speedy suppers, luscious ways with leftovers, main dishes for serving a crowd, and famous favorites from other lands. I guess I can't read today. So as you see, I purchased this for $1.99, and I thought, well, what can we make today? So I went to the casserole because casserole is good. Casseroles provide leftovers for me, and I enjoy that. And so what we're gonna actually make here is the ham and potato scallop because I actually have some ham. So what are you gonna need? You're gonna need some ham. You're going to need some potatoes. You're going to need, and this surprised me, why did I do that? Okay, it's right here. A can of cream of mushroom soup. Now, if you want to make your own mushroom white sauce, you're totally welcome to do that. We need a little onion. It does call for green pepper, a little bit of butter. And so it's very, very simple of a recipe. So it gives the instructions for both doing it in a one casserole dish option or these cute little individuals. I hope y'all can see that. So I was like, let me go to my casserole dish stash and see what I have. So I thought I would bring out 3. I'll just have to see how much this makes because guys, I will probably be cutting these recipes a little bit because how much ham and potato scallop can one person eat, right? Even though I do love it. So the first dish I want to show you, oh, let me share this with you first. So anytime I'm going to share Pyrex, I will try to give you as much background information on it. I purchased this second edition Pyrex Passion book. I did purchase it new off Amazon. I will leave a link if you like your Pyrex. I do. And this gives so much good information through, it's color coded as you see, through the years all the way up to more current times. And that's just my oven letting me know I'm ready. Just to give you an idea, it will show beautiful colored pictures, give like a model number, etc., how it was sold. It has a lot of promotional pieces in here. I can just sit and look at it. It doesn't take much to amuse me, does it? Okay, so the first dish that I pulled is this lovely mushroom dish, but this is actually called Forest Fancies, and it was made between 80 and 86. So I was surprised. I thought this would be 70s, you know, more earth tone, and, you know, mushrooms were very popular even in the 60s. But what I have learned is I have the relatively rare lid because commonly it just came with a clear lid. Where did I get this? I bought it in a lot at an auction when I went to my mom's estate sale. Yeah. So I bought some stuff. All right, the next casserole dish I picked out is this beauty, and this is called Spring Blossom in the green, and it was made from 72 to 78, so a little older than dish number 1, and it comes with the clear lid. Now, I don't have lids for every single one of my casseroles, but for leftover purposes, it's going to be nice to have at least 2 that I can cover with a glass lid versus using foil or saran. And then the final one I chose, and guys, these are not in mint condition. Let's see, there you go. This is a brown dish called Early American, and this was manufactured from 62 to 71. And I remember the whole Early American craze. My mom loved that. All right, so those are the dishes. We'll see how much it makes actually. So let me set this aside. So the first thing we're going to do is, it says blend soup, milk, and pepper. So let me grab a few utensils here. I'll be right back, just be a second for you, and we'll get started making our ham and potato scallop. All right, y'all, I think you can be a little loosey-goosey, but I'm with the recipe. Should clarify that. I'm gonna try to stick, this looks too large, as close as I can to the recipe, because after all, we are making a vintage version. So we're gonna use our turkey spatula, and I am using Great Value cream and mushroom soup because that's what I have on hand. I don't mind it so much in a casserole where it's not the most forward flavor. I do think Campbell's is better. So as I was looking at this recipe, I was like, wait, why condensed mushroom soup? That seems a little odd to me, given that this was done in 61. And I should also share that my mother cooked from scratch. We didn't use a lot of canned items early in my lifetime. Do you know what year Campbell's actually brought out their condensed cream and mushroom soup? 1934. My mom was born in 35, so this was all of her life an item. So kind of makes sense. I do remember her using soups later, like the one pot spaghetti. Alrighty, quit talking, Kim. Next thing we need is we're gonna use a 1/4 cup of milk, just to thin that out a little bit. And it says pepper. Doesn't say how much. So I do like black pepper. If you don't like it, leave it out. This recipe does not call for any salt, which may seem a little weird, but ham is naturally salty. Guys, this doesn't come out really fast, so let me tip you down here. I just realized you're talking to my sweatshirt. This was my mom's salt and pepper shakers. So, all right. So that gives it a little bit of color, and you could always add more at the table. Now, it says add potatoes, diced ham, onion, and green pepper. And for the potatoes, it says 5 cups thinly sliced, pared, or peeled potatoes, about 5 medium potatoes. Y'all, I'm embarrassed to show you this, but I'm going to. So here are my 3 taters, because these things are huge. So you could cut them any way that you wanted to cut them. I'm going to try to slice them thinly and evenly because this is a baked item. And if you make cubes, just know that you're probably going to need a little bit longer time. So I'm sure you've all seen potato paring. Let me just show you. I'm going about this thick, so maybe between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. And as I peel, I've had these, as I slice, I'm going to put them in the soup mixture just to prevent them from browning. So let me get these paired up, and then we'll get on to adding our ham, our onions, and I want to talk about the green pepper. So stay tuned. Even just using the 3 big potatoes, I think I'm about on par with the recipe with 5 cups. Now it calls for a pound of cooked or canned smoked ham cut into 1/2-inch cubes, which is about 2 cups. So what I actually did, in truth, was I waited because I wasn't sure exactly what a pound looked like. So I guesstimated, and I was spot on. So I was happy about that. So I'm going to remove any obvious gristle or fat. And this ham is a bone-in spiral sliced ham that came with, you could bake the ham, you know, with like a brown sugar packet. I just want the ham. So what I'm doing is just, well, you can't see, but y'all know how to do this. So let's just kind of cube it up. So we're getting like reasonable bite-sized pieces. And we're gonna add that to our mixture over here. Need a bigger cutting board. Okay. So here we go, yeah. This is, oh, it smells really good. It's a very nice smoky ham. And with any kind of casserole, don't you just hate it when you get a bite of something that is like fat or gristles? So I try to be a little particular in, you know, cutting off anything I think is not apropos to go in. Well, I'm not doing well at all here. So let's talk about the onion and the green pepper while I chop here. You can use fresh, of course. And yeah, I don't hate green pepper. I just don't want it in my casserole. And I think that's the beauty of the casserole. You can add to, take away, use up leftovers. That's another good use for casseroles. So I'm going to omit the green pepper. I'm sure it would add some flavor. And I do have green pepper in my freezer that I grew in my garden. But for this particular application, I'm not going to choose it. But if you like it, I'd say go ahead and add it. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. So how are you all doing with the change in temperature and the upcoming daylight savings time? If you're in a state that observes it, because not all do. I absolutely abhor daylight savings time. I wish they would do away with it. There's been many bills proposed to do away with it. It was originally, it depends on the research you do, but originally it was for saving energy during the energy crisis because of kids going to school, people going to work. They wanted more hours of daylight at the front end of the day. And I get it for the schools. I can see that that might make somewhat of a difference. But yeah, I just think it's kind of silly. And my grandparents did not observe daylight savings time. So they were on, my maiden name was Coddle. They were on Coddle time. All right, guys, this is starting to look delish here. I mean, it's kind of a lot, isn't it? My hands are very clean, of course. I think this would be good with cheese, but that's not what this is scalloped. All right, ooh, that is looking good. I think I got more than what those casseroles are gonna hold. Let me rinse off my hands here real quick. So, I actually have freeze-dried onions. So I'm going to rehydrate them in a little bit of milk. And let me tell y'all something, these are strong onions. But I'm leery of putting them in non-hydrated, that it would suck too much moisture out of the casserole and the casserole would be dry. So we may have enough to actually freeze a casserole too. That would be kind of nice. I'm gonna go ahead and bake them all off, and then I could just reheat from the freezer. All right, let me let these rehydrate. We'll do a final mix. We'll dish up, and I'll talk about the baking instructions. Hope you'll stay tuned. All right, we have everything incorporated. So because I used my homegrown, home freeze-dried onions, I probably added an additional almost quarter cup of milk. So mine might look a little more liquidy, but as those onions rehydrate, it should be pretty even with what the recipe called for. So now what it says is turn into an ungreased 2-quart casserole, obviously not what I have, dot top with butter or margarine. If you're doing the 2-quart, you bake it uncovered at 350 for an hour. Then you cover it, bake it an additional 45 minutes. I'm like, wow, that seems like it would just be a lot. So if you want to make the individuals or the smallers, it says use individual casseroles, bake uncovered 50 minutes, cover and bake an additional 10 to 20, or until potatoes are done. So let's go ahead and dish up. I have a feeling I'm gonna need another dish. Ooh, doesn't that look delish? Yeah, I think a nice thick layer of cheese on the top would just be yummo. But I'm gonna try to stick with the 1961 version. So let me top this off pretty tall. So there's our casserole number 1. I can see this being very nice too if you have like a family member or a neighbor or someone that you want to take a meal to, but they're a smaller family. You can portion this out, you know, into these smaller casseroles. I can just see a lot of applications for it, but I do like all the ingredients. So we may have to get the shoehorn out here, but let's see if we can get it all in. Oh, yeah, that's gonna fit nicely. I think you could also add peas to this. I think would be really good, or just serve the peas as a side dish. You could top with, y'all let me rinse my hands, breadcrumbs, like a panko or something to that effect. I am gonna actually put a little bit more pepper on the top for show. And I do not use margarine, I use only butter. And this is the same pattern butter dish as the, what did I call it? Springtime, I think it's called. So let's just put a little chunk of butter because butter makes everything better. So I'm using less than a tablespoon. This one's a little bit bigger casserole. All right, into the oven we go. I will bring you back when they're all done. We'll do a taste test and talk about some upcoming videos. All right, this did take the full cook time, even though I thought I sliced our potatoes super thin. Let me not burn my hand here. So you definitely want to cover it as the instructions say, but it kind of made this caramelized, nice crust at the top. I was a little concerned it might have too much liquid. It doesn't at all. Wow, this is screaming hot. And I also will tell you that I did stir it a couple times during the cook process. So even with convection oven, these casseroles took about an hour and a half. But let's give it a taste test and see if 1961 had something on scalloped ham and potato casserole. Now, like I said, this does not call for any salt, but you could certainly add it. Potato is screaming hot, guys. Potatoes are nice and tender. This sauce is nice and thick. There's not too much fat by trimming the ham. I'm trying not to blow up my mouth. Mmm. Oh, wow. Mmm. Yeah, this is really tasty. That smoked ham really carries through on the potatoes. I did think it would still be good with cheese, but it has plenty of salt level for my taste. Ham is nice and tender. Yeah, I think this is a winner, y'all. This is my breakfast. It is 7:15 a.m. Sometimes I get a little behind on my videos, so that's why if you noticed it's dark outside, why yes it is. So what do y'all think of starting our Throwback Thursdays? And it may not be every Thursday, but doing some various vintage recipes out of my vintage cookbook collection. And y'all, I know, just because I watch a lot of YouTube, some channels like to make the really weird things, like the savory jello molds and things like that. Because of the cost of food, to me, that is not practical. I'm not going to make something that I pretty much know that I'm not going to like, because that's a cost to me, a waste of food. And in these times, that's not something we want to do. But y'all, I have quite the cookbook collection. So I have some things up my sleeve I think will be a lot of fun. And it might give you some fairly economical. I mean, this was 3 potatoes, half a cup of onions, a can of soup. The most expensive piece, of course, was the pound of ham. You could cut the ham back as well. You could probably do it with cooked hamburger, but it wouldn't have that smoky taste. Maybe add some liquid smoke. I can see a lot of different applications for this. You know, like I said, put the peas in, make your own cream of mushroom or white sauce. Very, very good. So coming up, y'all, I wanted to share with you, and I did my research yesterday. Okay, this is a newer purchase for me. I would say I got it in 2023. This is a 1976 Better Homes and Gardens Gifts from Your Kitchen. Y'all look at the back of this. Look at those cute things. So I will be doing some of this because I generally, for friends and for neighbors, you know, non-family members will say, I like to do gift baskets of some of my home canned or home freeze-dried items and maybe some treats on top of it. So we'll be visiting that book. I actually broke down and eBayed myself a cookbook because there's a recipe in there I want to try that I think will be really fun, really appropriate for these cooler temperatures. I try not to use my oven in the summer. Having the split oven does help with electrical cost. It heats up much faster and it cooks a little bit faster. Although for this, it did not. So I have plenty of casserole. Glad I like ham and potatoes. I started to say tomatoes. So if you haven't already, do me a big favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. Leave me a comment below. What do you think about the new series? What do you think about scalloped ham and potatoes? I think this could be a very economical dish. You know, we're coming up on the holidays. Hams will go on sale probably a little closer to Thanksgiving or to Christmas. Don't forget to check your gratefulness or your gratitude calendars. Keep those episodes of Being Thankful coming for the month of November. And I will see you all a little bit later this week. Until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.